Hey, thanks for joining me today on this episode of the Verbal Echo podcast. We get to listen to real people's stories of insight, grit, endurance, and maybe a little bit of I can't believe that really happened to you. I'm your host, Monica Martin. Let's get to it. Hi, and welcome to the Verbal Echo podcast. My guest today is Ashley Holmes. She's joining us from Canada and is the CEO and compassionate founder of Holistic Fertility Coach. Her mission is to support women on their fertility path, providing guidance and helping them conceive with ease. Drawing from her own fertility struggles, she founded her business to empower and uplift women facing similar challenges. She understands firsthand the emotional and physical toll that fertility struggles can take, which fuels her passion to bring mind, body, and spirit back into harmonious balance and alignment. Ashley's here today to not only share her story, but tell us how you can benefit from her experience on your own path to becoming a mother. So welcome, Ashley.
Thank you so much, Monica. It's great to be here.
Yeah, welcome. So you're all the way from Canada.
All the way from Canada.
Not that
Actually
far.
Married a Kiwi and moved back to Canada.
Oh, wow. You're not that far away. I'm in Colorado, so just north a little ways, I'm sure. So I'm so glad you could be here and share this. When you first reached out to me, I thought, oh, this is so interesting. I've never talked with someone who works with women with this problem. I myself personally was so fertile. I never really had these problems, but I had a family member, my sister-in-law who struggled with fertility. And so I'm interested to hear more about, how this works. And I was wondering if you could share some information about, maybe some, fertility statistics that are common or maybe some misconceptions that people might have about women who are struggling with trying to conceive?
Sure, I'd love to. I think it is a big misconception, and we've been conditioned to believe that this is going to be easy, this is going to happen naturally. As soon as you go off the pill or whatever form of birth control you're taking, that this is going to happen, and it's so often not the case. And in fact, the statistics have moved from 1 in 8 to 1 in 6. So that just goes to show you how many people are truly struggling to conceive. And 1 in 4 people have miscarriages as well. And those statistics alone are just staggering. They're heartbreaking. And that's a lot of people dealing with this issue. And I don't believe that they truly have all the support that they need and all the support that will help them during this process. You can have all the medical attention that is available out there wherever you are in the world, but there's not oftentimes anything to go alongside of it. And that is truly what is missing.
Yeah. I think, you mentioned the medical aspect of it. I think some people think that, oh, yeah, like you said, I'm just going to go off the pill. It's just going to happen in a couple of months and I'm going to be on my journey to being a mom. And then they run into this roadblock. And what is a typical thing that, I guess there's no typical situation, but maybe a common thing that some people might encounter? Is it like a physical problem, or is it related to like stress, or what's something that you run into frequently?
I run into everything. And I mean, there are so many things out there that women are experiencing, from secondary infertility to miscarriages to failed cycles of IVF. People think that they're finally there, they finally made it, and then they lose the baby. And there is no one size fits all. And that's why, I won't ever have a group coaching program. It is, to meet people where they're at on their journey, exactly where they are as they are. And I think that truly honors the person and gives them what they need in the moment as they're going through it, and to give them the tools and resources that will help them that perhaps they don't have.
Yeah. So groups don't really work in this situation. It's more of a one-on-one.
I have a community, and of course I offer things that will help everyone, but when we really get into the details, when we really, journey inward, I like to say, is that there is lots to unpack oftentimes. And often we don't want to look at those shadows or those fears or anything else that shows up. And by not addressing them, they're still there. They're still sort of running in the background. And we can lovingly and kindly, not let our fears run our life and not let the past dictate the future, and really sort of free ourselves, liberate ourselves, and not be taken over by the accumulated stress that is happening month after month after month.
Oh, yeah. I can kind of picture that once someone encounters this situation, they're wanting to conceive, they're wanting to be a mom, and then they run into this obstacle and they're trying to navigate this on their own, that it might just become like a compounding effect where they're stressed. And then now they've got this stress and they have all these expectations from like maybe from family or friends. Like maybe they see all their friends having babies, and then, then that stress sort of snowballs and it kind of like exponentially starts affecting them. Do you see that?
Definitely. I feel like there are so many triggers out there for people trying to conceive. And that's really why my program is focused on you. Like, stop looking externally and focus on you, focus on what you can control, how you feel, how you nourish yourself. And that is really what needs to be a priority, and to really let the rest of everything else go to the side for the moment and really take that time to prioritize your health and well-being. And that is never a bad investment, whether you're trying to conceive or not. You want to be a healthy person living a vibrant life, and you especially want that when you're trying to bring another life into this world.
Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah. You want nurture the vessel that's going to create the human.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Do you see any effects of, like, let's say someone goes, does this sort of thing and they end up conceiving and they have a child? How does this affect like postpartum and then also their life moving forward as a mom? Because being a mom, oh my gosh, is really stressful. So, yeah.
I can speak to this on so many levels because it transformed my journey as a mother. Not having this knowledge and wisdom when I did finally conceive my twins. It was a stressful pregnancy. I was a stressed mom the first time around. Didn't feel like I had enough to go around. Didn't fill up my cup because I didn't prioritize myself because I thought I had to. I wanted them for so long that I had to put them first. And realizing the second time around that this could be easy, this could be natural, that I could let go of all the stress and pressure and just honor my needs and my baby's need. And, the first time around I was disconnected versus connected the second time around, and a far deeper level of awareness, a connection with my baby, a natural birth versus a C-section, just all of these mind-body connections that weren't necessarily there the first time around, and really just a wisdom to take with me to be a better mother and to be a better wife and to live a life that feels good to me, and to know truly what nourishes me, to prioritize myself. I mean, these are things often as women that we do not do, that are not ingrained in us, that are not really seen as valuable until you're in a place or position where you have to. And that's really not the place we want to be coming from. Is we want to, honor ourselves day in and day out and know what truly works best for us. And that is always changing, and nothing is set in stone, but to, always be evaluating yourself and how you feel and your energy and your stress and what you're taking in nutritionally and in your environment externally and internally.
Yeah. Yeah. So I am curious about your own journey, how you decided to start your business. So if you're comfortable, can you share a little bit about your story about how you got to this place of helping others?
I came to helping others truly during COVID. I made the pivot to move online. And because I was just a yoga and meditation teacher before, teaching in person was no longer an option. It was like now or never is the time to go online, and just truly knowing and having that inner calling of this support is so needed out there. There is not enough available for women who are experiencing infertility and trying to conceive, and knowing that I felt so lonely and isolated the first time around when I was trying to conceive and leaving the clinics with no answers. I had unexplained infertility and I didn't think I could conceive naturally. Didn't think or believe that my body was capable of doing that. And that wasn't the truth. And really just coming to know myself, coming home to my own body, and really embracing and truly loving and nurturing all pieces and parts of me, and that I wasn't broken and I didn't need fixing. I just truly needed to take time to care and honor myself.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you encounter you mentioned the panty. I think we all changed a lot during the pandemic. A lot of stuff went online. Like yoga classes, a lot of yoga classes went online. I know I took some online and it was kind of cool. I'm not so great about doing yoga in my house. Like I try, but yeah, like my cat always jumps on me. It's always a setup like, all right, the cat leaves, the dog leaves, like, okay. But
definitely they love the Zen vibes and the energy and the vibration, and that's why they try to get in on it. But yes, for myself, I locked my cat away during those times, and you just have to do what you have to do.
Right. So do you have like a studio set up? Do you still do online yoga in your house?
I still do. I will always do online yoga because I feel like yoga was really the entry point for me, what got me onto my health and wellness path and healing journey. And that just led to many other things. And I will always, I do yoga every day, and it doesn't matter the poses or the length of time. It's just knowing that that truly has brought so much into my life and changed my life, that it's just a way to honor myself and my journey and my path. And I know that every time I step on my mat, I always feel better, and I always shift my energy and walk off just feeling like my true self, how we want to feel day in and day out.
Yeah, yeah. So what's your background as far as yoga training? Like what styles of yoga do you teach?
I am trained in about 5 different kinds of yoga. So I can teach hatha yoga or hot yoga, which I don't do anymore, but I teach yin yoga and restorative yoga and therapeutic yoga and kriya yoga. So truly any form of yoga that is available, except for Kundalini yoga. I'm not trained in Kundalini yoga, but I love it and there's value there. But really what I learned on my own journey is I didn't need more yang or heated practices or quick, fast practices. What my nervous system was truly seeking was to slow down, to find those more internal, quieter practices and embody that yin aspect of myself, because that is truly what I needed more of without realizing that I had been living sort of in fight or flight mode for decades, and to come out of that into rest and digest mode. And that's what I offer my clients, because infertility is stressful, and that's one of the myths. Well, just relax. Well, how do you truly relax, and how is your body feeling when you are in that state and that vibration? And things like yoga nidra and all of these yoga practices that I just mentioned will bring the body into that state of being where healing happens, and you really do find that calm and peaceful state of being, which is where you want to be when you're trying to bring new life into this world. And to alleviate the stress that is accumulating and not letting it accumulate and addressing it and doing these practices for yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. It seems like that would be really supportive. I wish I had done, well, I guess I didn't really need, I didn't start doing yoga until, well, maybe 10 years ago, but I always found it to be, it would just kind of set, like if I did it early in the morning, it would set my day and I would just be a calmer person throughout the day. I was able to focus more, and it definitely helped me relieve a lot of stress. Even like when you wake up, sometimes you're stressed when you wake up. So yeah, I think yoga is such a great supportive practice. It's not for everyone, but it's definitely a great supportive way to relieve stress. Yeah, I'm curious. So you mentioned all the different styles of yoga that you practice and teach and whatever. Do you have one that's maybe not your favorite, but did you just find that you're leaning more towards now than you were maybe in the beginning when you first started doing yoga?
Definitely. For me, I was just of the mindset, I had to be working hard and, I needed to have a sweat or wasn't doing anything. And I used to look at the people like lying on the bolsters when I would leave the studio and being like, what is that going to do for me? Well, truly, that is what does everything for me. And so I know, and I really embody and embrace and make it a priority to do those gentler, quieter practices like in yoga, where you're in the pose for a long time, where you can actually sometimes sit in discomfort, where energy can move through you, and where you really just take that time for yourself to slow down, because we live such a yang lifestyle and we're always busy and always going and always hustling and always doing all of the things for everybody. And it's so important to incorporate that into our own lives and to take that time and to prioritize it, because often we can put it off. We think that it's being lazy or we're not doing enough, when in fact, that's really truly what we need.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we're all guilty of that, especially nowadays. Like I think our world just moves in such a yang way. It's just go, 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 and, that's not healthy.
That's what leads to burnout, and that's what leads to so many other things, is that we think we can continue at that pace and in that way for so long, and it's not sustainable. So really what I'm teaching and giving to clients is really a lifestyle that serves them, that suits them, that is for them, that they can use not only to help them conceive, but postpartum, and to instill these habits and lifestyle techniques into their children as well, because you want your children to live long, healthy lives too. And it just has a ripple effect of how you do and affect yourself affects everybody around you. So it's really just taking that time and knowing that it's important, and that even though you may not see something externally, the work you're doing internally is so profound that there are just no words.
Yeah. 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 And, that's really interesting that you mentioned that like the things that you learn now, things that you can change now. And let's say you do conceive, and if you're lucky enough to conceive and become a parent and everything, and then you can kind of take all of that shift in your life that you created through this process. You can shift it into the parent phase, where you're being a calmer person for your kids and you're teaching them, and the ripple effect where it just kind of ripples down into their lives, and it just becomes kind of a growth mechanism for society, because we could all use a way to slow down. So yeah, I like that. I like the ripple effect. I always like to see that in anything.
I love to see that, and like my kids will call me out on stuff sometimes, and it's like, yes, thank you. I needed to hear that right now, because, we do sometimes fall back into old habits and patterns. And it's, bringing that back into our conscious state and being like, no, that's not what I intended. That's not what I meant. And, this is a better way to move forward.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. Like, I just spent some time with my daughters this weekend. And my kids are all grown now. My oldest is 30. My middle one's, 25. I had them all 5 years apart. And so my youngest is 20. And I swear every time I spend time with them, I always become a better mother. And it's, they check you. She's like, Mom, what are you doing? Like, don't do it this way, and it's always like, okay, and it's funny. It's like, you look at them and like, they're so accomplished in their own lives now and their own ways, but they still have that ability to like, sometimes they just get under my skin. So it's like, okay, but they're right. They're right. And it's just it's so cool being a mom, when you're watching them grow up, but it's also so cool seeing them step into their life and start to like make impact and changes on society, and to like have to step back and be like, okay, they're doing their own thing now. I have to keep my mouth shut. And it's like,
I think it's beautiful to see they are our greatest teachers, and they often reflect back to us what we need to see in ourselves, or what needs to shift or change in ourselves that perhaps we weren't seeing. And it's constantly evolving and growing. And it's just beautiful and humbling at the same time to see what happens day in and day out.
It is so humbling. Like every time I spend like one of these weekends with my kids, I always come home like, oh God, they're right. I shouldn't do that. Oh, it's just, but they do it with love and everything. And it's kind of fun. You just have to, you have to have humor as you get older. You cannot get butt hurt over everything. You just have to like roll with it. Like, okay, yeah, they're doing their thing. And you just love them. And it's just different from when they're toddlers and you're literally picking them up physically, like, go over here and do this now. You can't do that anymore. And they're like picking you up and going, okay, Mom, go over here and do this. It's just funny. It's funny. I love it. Oh gosh, kids. Yeah, but I peeked at your website. Oh gosh, you guys, you got to go check out her website. It's so great. It's simple. She offers quite a bit of information on there that's super helpful. A couple of things that she mentions that I want to touch on. Something that I really found interesting is she mentioned loneliness and how you could possibly feel kind of out there, alone, lonely if you're going through this process of trying to conceive. And I'm wondering and kind of curious about how finding someone to help you through this process can be beneficial, and can kind of help that feeling.
Definitely. I have found that clients really don't realize sometimes how much this is going to benefit them, and how much just having that person there, holidays are triggering. Having someone there when you feel angry or you feel disappointed or you have all these emotions emerge that you're like, this isn't pretty. I don't want to feel these things, but it's like you are feeling these things. And how can we move through them? How can we address them and look at them? And how can I support you during this time? How can you and your partner come together instead of being pulled apart? I mean, there's so many dynamics and aspects of it, but I know I felt lonely and isolated when I was trying to conceive over a decade ago, and I didn't have any family or friends that I knew that were experiencing that. And so I didn't talk about it, and nobody knew, and it didn't help me at all. Wasn't in my best interest, and it didn't serve me. So truly finding someone that understands you, that can hold space for you, and that can help you on your journey is just so important.
Yeah. Yeah. I can imagine that that might be a really like sitting in the corner having an ugly cry, like feeling alone, you know. I can imagine that that's a pretty uncomfortable place to be in. And trying to, you know, sometimes our partners can be supportive, but they can also be like in that space where they're not really understanding what you're going through, or maybe they understand it on a different level than what you're experiencing, because maybe you have like all these expectations, either from your family or culture or yourself, that you're trying to uphold as a layer on top of my body's not working the way I want my body to work. And I'm dealing with all this other kind of stress. So yeah, I could kind of see that. Have you noticed that? Like, yeah.
There definitely is a layer of feeling all this extra pressure and overwhelm, and also, you know, wanting your partner to be your everything and anything too. And they're in it with you though, and they're not able to give you the support that you probably both need, or at least you need to move through this in a way that feels good, that is healthy for you, and that is really setting the tone for how you want your fertility journey to feel, because it doesn't have to feel so defeating and hopeless and exhausting.
Yeah. 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 I think that you're fulfilling a really good need that's out there. So yeah, I just want to, yeah, thank you for creating this company. So when did you start your company? How many years ago?
I celebrated 2 years this year, so 2 years ago, and it is just a true joy to be able to offer this to people, to see it grow, to see people be like, this is what I needed. Even though I didn't know this is what I needed, this is what I needed. This is what I
Oh,
was looking for.
yeah.
This is giving me hope. And truly, you know, one of the questions I've asked and want to know for feedback is, you know, what was your belief at the start of the program? And what is your belief, you know, at the end, in yourself, in your journey? And, you know, having that number move from a very low number to like so high, and just literally gives me goosebumps, that, you know, that feeling, that belief in themselves, because we often have so many conditionings and beliefs and things running in the background that we're not conscious of, that we're not aware of, that are really dictating how things are moving for us. And to just see the shifts and changes, and like food is tasting better, and just they're glowing before they're pregnant, really. And that is just amazing to see.
Yeah, that's interesting that you mentioned that, because that's something that I do in my coaching is, you know, we'll ask like a scaling question. And I think it's a concrete way for someone to put a number on the dial. Like, okay, right now I'm at
Yes.
a 3 and I want to be at a 7, you know, and so that's a really good way. It's one of the main things that you should do when you're an experience when you're going through coaching, is look for that. Like, is someone asking you where you are right now? Where do you want to be? And, you know, and how can you get there? How, you know, what's holding you in the space between those two numbers? So that, yeah, that's important. Yeah. So I can imagine
I think
that. Yeah.
it's so important, and to focus on the growth that they are experiencing and not so much on the goal, right? Because when we're focused on just being pregnant and that's all we're looking at, and that's all our focus and awareness and attention is on, then that's always in the future and it's not in the present. And so really just focusing on all of the things, and we don't have to be doing all of the things, but what can you do today for you on your behalf to help you bring in another life?
Right. Yeah. And what if it happens where they just can't conceive? How are they going to be supported moving forward? And then, like what if because some things are just not in our control. And what if they get to this point and they, go through all the steps and they find out, okay, I just can't conceive. That's it. And then how do you take the things that you've learned and how you've grown to support yourself in this new understanding of how you are as a person in this world, and what will you do next, and how will you benefit from this change and this transition? Because that's a big transition, like thinking that, okay, I'm going to be a mother. And if you think about that as, your whole life, I'm going to be a mom, I want to be a mom. And what if you just can't? And how do you move forward from that?
Absolutely. Everyone has their own karma sort of for their lifetime, for this lifetime. And I don't specifically know each and every person's karma, but I know that I can give them the tools and resources to help them to work with the karma that they have presently, and that they can work on all the areas that are within their control, that are within their karma, and to do everything humanly possible for themselves. And that just benefits their soul for this lifetime and future lifetimes.
Yeah, yeah. And you also mentioned, I call it the triad. You see it a lot on people's, anything in the health and wellness space. It's mind, body, spirit, mind, body, spirit. And we hear it, it's kind of, it's a buzz thing, but how often do we really think about what exactly is that? What does that mean? What does that mean for us as people, as humans living on this earth? Like what exactly, if we dig into that whole mind, body, spirit, like obviously body is your body, your physical self, like you're here, you're living, you're doing your thing, you're, and then the mind, you think about your mind like, okay, well, that's like, learning and, engaging with others. And so what do you mean by, what's your interpretation of the difference between mind and spirit, or just what spirit is? Like, what's your definition of that?
Really, my definition is that your spirit is really truly your connection to yourself, and that is who you are at your core. And oftentimes that has been covered up with conditioning and habits and patterns that don't serve us. So it's really like a lotus flower, and we're peeling back these layers to get back to who you truly are at your center, at your core, so that you feel connected during this process, so that no matter what happens, you're anchored in who you are. And I know the first time around, it was like an emotional roller coaster ride. And when I had that connection, mind, body, spirit connection, I conceived naturally, easily, within months by having that connection. There was a total missing piece. And it is, we all have a mind, body, spirit connection, but is it connected? Do you feel connected? Or do you feel like you're a mess going through this process, and that you are just up and down day in and day out? That is an exhausting way to live. It's not sustainable. And to have just a true anchoring and a true knowing in who you are, and that you have so much value and worth, and that this doesn't dictate your value or your worth, whether you become a mother or not, is just something that I hope every single woman finds on their journey, because it is so important to feel whole and complete as you are.
Yeah, yeah. I like that. That's really good. And I think it's important that you touched on that, because, I think I can imagine if you're kind of on this journey of trying to conceive, that you might kind of forget about that. So I think that's really great that you're bringing that in. Like, it's like the holism of the process. Like, you might be going through this process, but and you might feel alone and lonely, and you might be maybe you're navigating doctors, or, you know, your partner is getting frustrated with you, or maybe he's being really supportive, he or she being really supportive. So yeah, I think it's, I think it's great that you're having people remember, hey, you know, this is part of a whole program, like a holistic program. We have to take care of yourself in different realms, mind, body, and spirit. And that, I think that starts maybe a real healing process. So I think that's really cool that that's part of your system. Yeah, I like that.
Definitely.
Yeah.
It's life-changing. It's truly a journey inward, but you know, if this is a struggle and if you feel like I can't do this anymore, this isn't working for me, but I've tried everything, I promise you, you haven't tried everything.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So you have a coaching program, and it's, can you tell us about how long it is and how it works if someone's interested in learning more about this?
It is a 4-month program, and so it's set up to give you that solid foundation, because what we do for ourselves now affects our egg quality 3 to 4 months from now. So if we're conscious of that, if we're present of that, knowing that by incorporating all these tools and practices, that you're really just setting yourself up to be in your optimal state to conceive, and then you can renew monthly thereafter if you choose, or you can use what I've given you and keep using that. But then there is that self accountability piece of, can you hold yourself accountable? Are you going to continue to do these things, or are you better continuing with support?
Yeah, right. So you're offering a little bit of support afterward for people too. Like, can they just reach out, or
Definitely.
maybe, or you said you had a Facebook group, or how do you have that?
Yes.
Or
I have a Facebook group. I have a community, Holistic Fertility Coach Facebook group, where I offer, you know, healing meditations and just information about Reiki and information about so
Mhm.
many things that perhaps people aren't aware of, and how this can help them on their journey and through this process.
Yeah, yeah. We were talking before we started recording about Reiki. I'm also a Reiki person, and can you speak a little bit about how that can support this whole process too?
It truly is just being open to receive, as you know, part of the coaching program, and to just help heal and balance and clear and purify your energy and help remove stuck energy, stagnant energy that perhaps has been present for a long time, and to just offer this space and for people to wake up being like, wow, like I feel so much better. And I can't believe that you said that. And oftentimes, you know, like I will send an email, because obviously this is done in distance, and I'll say like, this is what came through for me. This is what showed up. And then they'll be like, wow, I can't believe that I was experiencing this, and I had no idea how their day was or anything like that. And to just see the connection there, and how everything is interconnected, and how everything just is intertwined and evolves, it shouldn't surprise me, and yet it still always does. That yes, this works, yes, this is doing exactly what it's meant to be doing, and yes, this is helping you.
Yeah, I'm sure most people, well, maybe most people don't understand what Reiki is, but maybe give us the 30-second elevator speech on what Reiki is. For anyone who's not really, I mean, you know, it is talked about.
Reiki
Yeah.
is it's your life force energy. So it's helping to restore your life force energy. So it's going to go and move into your body and into the spaces and places that need to receive that healing and that life force energy, so that you are feeling like you're like yourself and how you want to feel.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for that. Yeah, if anyone's interested in what that is, you can just Google it. And if you're interested in it, you can have, a Reiki distance healing. It works just the same. Or you can search out a lot of massage therapists are trained in it.
Yes.
Even, it's becoming a really mainstream, even like, even some chiropractors, physical therapists, nurses are trained in it. It's a very supportive, gentle healing, energy healing system. And, it's woo, but not so woo anymore. And there's a lot of research
I
and
agree.
science backing it now. You can look it up on your own and definitely search it out if you're interested. It can be really supportive to anything that you're going through, whether it's stress or it can be supportive in so many different ways. It's amazing. It's amazing. And so I was really excited to see that you were another Reiki person. So yeah. So you've got your online yoga classes that you're still teaching the online yoga classes?
I will always teach yoga and I will always offer yoga to everybody because
Mm-hmm.
there are benefits to everybody. And then if you are struggling with infertility and you want to dive deeper and to have practices that may be more specific to you and what you're going through, then those are available as well.
And where can people find your online yoga classes? Is that on your website or is it somewhere else?
It's on Vibely as well.
Vibely.
So
Okay.
Vibely has my coaching, has my yoga classes, and I offer yoga nidra meditations as well because I feel like if you're someone who says you can't meditate or you don't know how to meditate or it doesn't work for you, you can't quiet your mind, you can't be still, that is a great practice that you cannot do wrong and you will receive everything that you need to receive.
Awesome. And so you can access the Vibely, is it a software program? Is it a group? What is Vibely?
It's a health and wellness platform.
Okay.
So it's vibly.io and there are coaches on there. There are anything that you could be looking for in the health and wellness space that is available online and really just a community to help you feel your vibrant self.
Awesome. So we'll put a link to her. I guess it's your bio on Vibely. Is that, yeah, maybe we'll put that on there. So if anyone's interested in finding her, and then we'll also put a link to her groups and her website. And so I have another question. So what has been one of the people in your life that has inspired you or motivated you to move forward with a lot of this? Do you have a special person?
For me, I really, truly, have been inspired by Jay Shetty in a way because his teachings and what he offers to the world is similar to the trainings that I have done. I was trained by a former monk, so really the things that he says and what he stands for and how he sort of is in alignment with, what he believes and how this can change and transform your life really resonates with me. And some of the teachings, yoga has been around for a long time, pardon me. And,
Yeah.
just having people that can break down Sanskrit a little bit better and people that, have been raised in that culture and that world and know the Bhagavad Gita and know the Yoga Sutras and can just sort of dive really deep into that. Because I wasn't raised in that culture. I really enjoy that and find so much value and wisdom in all these ancient teachings. And I feel like there's so much there that in the West, perhaps we haven't tapped into yet or haven't embodied yet or haven't experienced yet.
Yeah, that's true. Sanskrit kind of scares me. I think about that. Like, I always hear some of the poses, when I'm in class. I'm like, what? What? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I don't feel like I necessarily say it right all of the time, but I do my best to learn and I do my best to give my best in all that I do, right? And
Right.
to know and honor that's not my first language.
Right. Nor any of us. So it's kind of cool that it's a part of yoga. But yeah, definitely like, okay, what is this? Yeah. It's definitely a memorization thing, I'm sure. Yeah. So that's cool. Yeah. Thanks for sharing that. All right. So, well, I just want to say thank you, Ashley, for coming on and sharing this information. We definitely want to get this out for anyone that is kind of in that space where they're struggling and they might be encountering some of these things. I think it's really important. And it seems like it's really important work that you're doing, just that kind of birthed from your own struggles, and so it's definitely, I feel like you're really honoring that, you're not only your own struggle, but also kind of seeing that this is definitely a need and this is going on out there in the world. And, I just want to say thank you for doing the work that you do and I'm glad we can get this information out there for anyone who might be struggling with this. So so thanks, Ashley.
Thank you so much, Monica. Thank you. It's been a pleasure, and I'm happy to share my story and to share in supporting anyone that feels alone in this process, because you don't have to feel alone, and that's truly, we're not alone, and to just know that you aren't sometimes is all you need to find that little bit of hope and inspiration.
Yeah, great. Yeah, thank you so much, Ashley, and thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
For joining me today. Be sure and hit that subscribe or follow button wherever you listen to great pod content. I'd love it if you could tell a friend about this podcast, and you can find any links mentioned by my guest or by me in the show notes below. Our music is Funk Beats by Ecolix, and you can find them on the Audio Jungle. I'll catch you next time around. See you soon.